So this is the day after. Engine's dry from being degreased. Of course, like I said, it's not a show quality item here, but again, it runs great and all that. Sometimes too, when you clean an engine like this, especially in an older vehicle, you catch flingage. Of course, everything's been cleaned, so you can kind of trace out and follow. Do I have any kind of maybe water flinging somewhere, or maybe something's leaking, AC compressor fluid, whatever, grease coming out. I had one in my 98 do that, so what I did was I power washed it. I just couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Well, on that particular truck, you've got two hoses that are like L-shaped, and it's hard to I always thought it was coming from a hose, and then I cleaned it and realized that it was actually coming from my AC compressor. I guess the seal had gone bad and it was leaking oil out and flinging. And but anyway, like I said, I'm going to get this cleaned up because that's what you see right as soon as you open the hood. I've got some stuff that I bought for doing detailing that really does wonders on this, and I'm going to show you later on. But today I'm going to get the bumper and the grill back on it. Turned out pretty good, I think. Power washed. Got all the grease and muck off of it. Not a lot. It really doesn't have I don't know if you can see under there or not, but there's it doesn't even have an oil leak. So pretty good that way. We've got the frame kind of cleaned up a bit. I might hit that with some like a light spray paint. And the reason why I say a light spray paint, and what I mean by that is I'm not doing the undercarriage stuff, the rubberized stuff. A lot of times that traps moisture, and you got to prep that stuff correctly in order for it to adhere correctly and do what it's supposed to do, where you end up with that. So my style and taste on things is, you can make it look better, but you could take some black primer and go in there and kind of just spray it around, and it'll look good, but it's not like an epoxy or an enamel or anything like that. You're not really married to the finish, and of course it's going to get kind of dull anyway after you use it. And I've had, of course, parts for these trucks kind of get hard to come by, as was mentioned, as a guy mentioned for the there's a wheel well trim. He's right, they're very hard to come by, and I always hang on to that stuff. But long story short, I always get inner fender wells when I can find them. A lot of guys doing the V8 swaps, especially, no offense to anyone, but the old school guys, they seem to think you got to cut the fender well. And of course people doing total custom jobs, that's kind of different, because you're doing something different there anyway. But I found so many that's just been cut. I've gotten trucks to where the fender wells have been cut. So anyway, the finish on it from the factory is pretty strong and durable. And my friend and I that does powder coating, we have a solution that you can dip it in, and they'll strip it within 10 minutes. But the factory stuff, man, that's really, really good stuff, durable. But I've seen where people will do the rubberized stuff, and so when you go to take that off and you want to clean it and you want to powder coat it or do whatever you want to do, paint it, I mean, it is a pain to remove layers and layers and layers of just paint. I'd rather have it look like that than this. At least with this, it's like, okay, well, it could use some work, a touch up, something like that, but we can see what it is. It's stock, it's factory, it's normal wear, as opposed to, well, I tried to cover it up without doing the correct procedure to clean it up. So a lot of times you're better off just leaving it the way it is. That's my take on it. That's what I like to do. It just makes things easier. Of course, I'm not a wheeler and dealer, so if I buy something, it's staying here. So, but if anyone ever, you know, God forbid, if I died today and someone said, well, hey, I want to get that truck, then, hey, they got a clean slate. They don't have to, like, a lot of times that's I guess what's the word there? Not a breaking point, but that's what I'm going to say. There's lots of deal breaker. That's it. A lot of times it's a deal breaker when you start looking at things and you're going, damn, that's going to take forever to get that straight. So I go back to the engine. It's like, yeah, it's not pretty, but every single thing other than where some wires are ran for the fog lights that were on it, everything is here. Everything is where it's supposed to be. You know, of course, most people disconnect that anyway because they're thinking they're going to be working on that a lot, I guess, and don't want to kill the battery, run it down, whatever. But anyway, like I said, everything's here. There's nothing has been cut, nothing has been rigged. The only thing you can say that's rigged is, I guess, this, well, which has been added. But everything is here. Nothing's missing. So that right there, that's that. For me, I would buy this, would be more interested in this than, say, the same truck where someone's like, well, I ran some extra this, or I cut this because of that. It still has factory connectors, factory wiring. Everything is just what it's supposed to be, and I like that. So I like clean slates, and that way when somebody were to get it, they can do what they got to do with it. And same thing with a frame. Because anyone that does any kind of work like this, you already know to do a frame correctly. I mean, you can get underneath there and I'm not saying leave it like that just because, but you can get underneath there and do some things. But come on, we all know you got to take this thing completely apart to get that frame clean properly the way you know. Then you go that far, guess what? You're back to a truck in pieces. Yep. So anyway, kind of rambling, but that's that. So anyway, like I said, I might blast a little bit of like maybe black primer underneath there, and just kind of dress it up just a touch. I don't see the need going crazy. Even this radiator support doesn't look as bad as I thought. Like I said, at some point in time, right now the main goal is to get it ready to take on the GM Tailgate Tour. So that's the main driving focus right now. And again, this, you know, it'll be a daily, and Saturday evening or Saturday morning hanging around doing nothing, BSing with the guys, you know, hey, I'm gonna take the grill off and bumper while we're running our mouth and touch up the radiator support or whatever. So I mean, again, to explain, like, I'd rather it all look just like this because it's all uniform. It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to get a billet battery cover and a billet whatever, and then you pop the hood and it's like, I get we're all trying to achieve perfection, but then I'm kind of looking at it like, at least it looks like it's supposed to look at this age and stage. That's just my taste. You know, you go all out to do one little spot. I guess the best way I can describe it is you go out and buy a $200,000 or $300,000 piano and you put it into a living room that has a leaking ceiling. You're kind of like, well, damn, all right, I see what we're doing here. So that's just my style and my take on it. You know, if you can do it correctly, do it correctly. You know, sprucing up is one thing. You get going too much and you kind of lose sight of it. And like I said, I keep talking to myself to make sure I don't do that, you know, kind of go too far. But I've got some engine cleaner. Well, it's already been cleaned, but I've got some engine bay. I don't want to say it's not. I don't use. It's kind of a little secret what I use, but I do not use tire spray, anything like that. It's a shine, but it's an acrylic covering, so when it dries it's not greasy. It may look wet, but it's not. If you use tire spray, look at your tires. And look what they do. Let's say you clean your tires once and you do put some tire shine on it. After a while, like this tire right here is brand new. It's just black. Now a tire that's been cleaned and had shine on it quite a bit, you start to see build up like in the lip. Like in the lip here and whatnot. You can take your finger and pull it off, or you know, that's what bleach white's for. But same thing happens in your engine bay. So you start using that and it collects dust. So you start spraying it off, that's just going to run, and a lot of times it's just going to pile up in certain spots. And I just don't like that, especially detailing vehicles. Like ones that come, I can always tell the vehicles that go through the car wash a lot, because like say up on top where they have like luggage racks, rails or whatever, you can always see in certain spots where there's lots of mold, where that drive-through car wash just doesn't get it. And of course, the way your vehicle is shaped and all that, it's going to run to that spot every single time, and it's like sweeping under the rug. It's going to hit that spot every single time, and it's not going to evaporate quick, or the wind's not going to blow it off, and it just builds up and builds up. I get so many, and I show the people, I'm like, well, look at this, watch this. They're like, well, I clean it, I take it to the car wash. Yeah, but it's not, that's not a detail. But anyway, kind of straying off topic again. But you use tire spray, tire shine, that's what happens with that. So what I use is an acrylic, and it dries like a shell almost, and you can put your hand on it. It doesn't run. It'll kind of do what like I was saying with the paint, it'll kind of fade off. It just doesn't run. It might lose its shine or gloss after a bit. Of course, especially on a daily, it's going to do that. But after a bit, it will lose its luster, and you can redo it, and it doesn't have that waxy, greasy, sticky buildup. But that's what I like to use. So I'm going to get the bumper, get that on. Then I've got to get my 93 out to change the ball joints on it. I bought brand new ball joints, brand new A-arms, all that stuff. Spent a few extra bucks getting the good stuff, what they call the good stuff anyway, and they are squeaking already, and they have like no miles on them at all. And yes, I tightened everything correctly and in the proper sequences and with the weight on the suspension, all that good stuff, but they are squeaking and squeaking already. And I looked it up, and a lot of people are having problems with that same brand. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do today. At least get the bumper on this and grill, kind of get that looking like a truck again. So that's the plan on this one for today.